or 5 police officers and SUVs. Do we know at this point what may have started this chase, Tammy?
Yeah, we're still working with our desk right now trying to get some more information, but they actually picked up this chase that started on the 610 North Loop as they made the transition to 45, and you can see now maneuvering around the downtown area, heading westbound here on McKinney and Walker Street. So these are a lot of traffic down here in Surface Street, so be aware of that. Look at this, it looks like a lot of near misses we see in these type of situations. And like I said, we see at least 4 or 5 police officers behind them. That black car there, excess speeds about 80 or 90 miles
he's
per
going
hour
out right now, isn't he?
It's very dangerous.
Back on 45 northbound now, going through downtown. He basically made a loop around the courthouse annex, or the City Hall annex, and then got right back on to 45. This is northbound now through downtown. Is that right, Tammy?
Look at this.
Yeah, that is correct, and you can see him weaving in and out, very dangerous. So again, if you were headed out the door right now and could stay away from 45.
I think that's the exit to I-10 now. This is I-10 westbound.
Correct, Jeff.
And boy, you saw how he weaved around that car.
They are on the I-10 transition right now, headed eastbound at about 70 miles per hour, 80 miles per hour.
And I tell you, nothing about this is safe.
No.
Nothing about, and you see how this driver is maneuvering and swerving, and you can see police or the authorities behind him trying to be as safe as they can, right? Because they are continuing to try to keep the safety of other drivers in mind. Obviously, this driver is not taking another exit here. Tammy, do you know where he is? He or she?
Our Churchill is showing us just exited off of William Street right now. Off of I-10, the East Freeway, getting ready to get on some surface streets. We are clocking them at about 52 miles per hour, so very fast. Again, just something to be aware of if you're headed out the door right now. Avoid the area if you can.
Traffic a little lighter here than it was in downtown over by City Hall, the City Hall Annex. It doesn't make it any less dangerous or anything like that, but fortunately, there's just not as much traffic in this part of the downtown area, but that's going to end pretty quickly because he's going to get up to where looks like Minute Maid Park is close by where he is. Is that right, Tammy?
Yeah, still working eastbound here on a side street. Again, and I'm working the camera, trying to keep an eye out on these streets right now. Our Churchill is just a little bit off, but he is going about 45 miles per hour. You can see Houston Police Department's helicopter is on scene right now, tracking this guy as he gets off on Beaumont, I believe, is the exit right now. Still not pulling over for police officers, but again, this started on the 610 North Loop is where we picked it up at 45.
All right, Tammy, we're getting ready to make a transition to Good Morning America. We're going to have this chase on broadcast as well as on streaming. So just bear with us, stay with it, and we'll be right back on stream in just a moment. Good morning, everybody. I'm Jeff Ealing.
And I'm Samika Knight. We are following some breaking news here. A police chase here near downtown Houston. We want to get right up to SkyEye 13. Tammy Rose, can you tell us where they are?
Yeah, just making the transition right now in the opposite direction on the East Freeway, heading back to downtown. You can see 4 or 5 police cars behind them. We have the
We'll continue
Houston
to
PD
stream this chase on abc13.com and our streaming apps. Tammy, we'll be right back to it. Joining us on the stream now, you can see this is a police chase that we are continuing to follow. This is north now on 45. Tammy, sorry we had to interrupt you there. We needed to get on to Good Morning America with the cut-in to bring this to people live. Give us a bit more of an update. It looked like it was an 18-wheeler there that maybe tried to stop to slow down this chase, but as we've seen so many times, the person being chased just kind of weaves around those big rigs and gets back on it. The chase still on at this hour.
Yeah, I was just trying to zoom out so you can get a better look of where we're at. We're just north
guy with
of
the
the
camper.
downtown area on I-10, the East Freeway. 4 or 5 units in pursuit of a black, smaller SUV vehicle. And again, it looks like they're going past 45 right now. This excess of speeds at about 70 miles per hour. This all started on the 610 North Loop near 45, and he's kind of just been going in circles, again, making the transition on the East Freeway.
Yeah, we've lost them a little bit there on the camera shot there, Tammy, and I'm sure you'll be able to get them back here in just a second. If you're just joining us, this chase started about 10 minutes ago or so. Tammy was telling us that it started on the 610 North Loop and then came into downtown 45 southbound. The suspect then made a U-turn basically in downtown around the City Hall annex and got back on 45 and then went to I-10. And then came back around and is now back headed northbound on 45. Is that where we are now, Tammy?
Yeah, that's correct. A little bit hard to keep up with him. The winds are fierce up here. He is traveling on the North Freeway northbound just past the I-10 Katy Freeway. We are clocking him at about 60 miles per hour. As I zoom out, the only good news right now, it doesn't look like there's a lot of traffic up ahead of him. Again, if you're just headed out the door, be aware of this very dangerous situation here on the North Freeway.
Yeah, and the good news is that, as you mentioned, there's very little traffic. I know that we are in spring break for a lot of students, so we don't have the buses on the roads. We don't have the parents, teachers on the road right now, so the roads are a bit clear, but this is just, there is nothing safe about this. We've seen this particular suspect weaving in and out. We've seen, as you mentioned, Tammy, some near misses this morning, and police are hot on this person's trail. We don't know if this is a female or a male. We don't know why this chase started. We're still trying to get that information. I know, Tammy, you're working with our desk right now, but this person is going so fast. It's just incredible to see a police chase like this this early in the morning. It is 7:22, and this is happening. We're just trying to get the very latest. Looks like that maybe possibly on the brakes a bit here. Or is that just...
Yeah, on our desk, the first to tell us about this, Jason Jobs, doing an excellent job working the desk, listening to the scanners. He's the one that first alerted us to this high-speed chase on the 610 North Loop. Right now, they're on the North Freeway, just past Cavalcade, in the left lane. So,
all right, we're going to... Tammy, let me interrupt you. Hold on. We're going to get right to Good Morning America and come right back in just a moment.
Okay. This is the cut-in.
Again, everybody, I'm Jeff Ealing. Got breaking news. This police chase is still ongoing now. It looks like we're in about the 13th minute or so since we picked it up about 13 minutes ago, Sam.
Yeah, this police chase started at the 610 North Loop, and we want to get right to our own Tammy Rose there in SkyEye to update us, as you know, what's happening right now, Tammy.
Good morning, Samika. Yeah, the camera's shaking a little bit. We have some very strong winds up here in excess of 30 miles per hour. So if the camera bounces around, that's what it is. He is on, or the driver is on the North Freeway just past the 610 North Loop. And actually, that's where we first picked it up. We are clocking him at about 58 miles per hour, just coming up now on Cross Timbers. The only good news about this is outbound traffic. So traffic is just a little bit lighter. I'm going to try to zoom out here for you. You can see 4 or 5 officers behind them, and we also have a police helicopter up here with us.
All right, Tammy, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll return with this chase in just a moment. So if you're our streaming apps, we're going to continue with this chase. Typically, things get a little crowded, in the broadcast because we dip back and forth at Good Morning America. So, forgive us for leaving and then coming back. But we're going to try to keep this chase on for as much as possible. Right now, we're in a 2-minute break with Good Morning America. We'll leave for a second and come right back. But we've been following this at least about 15 minutes now. And Tammy Rose, we interrupted you just a moment ago. We're sorry for that. We've got about a 2-minute break here with between Good Morning America. Kind of give us a bit of an update. We're still on the North Freeway, headed northbound, and it looks like we picked up a few more officers on this guy's tail.
Yeah, Tammy just trying to kind of get
position everything. Yeah.
But on Cross Timbers, he's in excess of about 70 miles per hour.
And we have seen a traffic pick up a little bit here, but you were mentioning a few moments ago that it is a lot lighter. But this is a dangerous area here. You see that officer just getting over barely. in time for this person to continue his journey northbound. Looks like he's going about 45, 50 miles an hour. Tammy, is that about right?
Yeah, we're actually trying to stay behind the police helicopter up here. And again, the winds are fierce. We're getting bounced around here. That's why you see the camera shaking quite a bit. The only good news, this is outbound direction. Left side of your screen, you see all of that traffic slowing down. That is inbound, just passing cross timbers right now. He's been traveling more than 80 miles per hour at times, a couple of near misses. But again, this is outbound traffic on the North Freeway coming up or past cross timbers.
All right, great. We're going to rejoin the Good Morning America broadcast here in just a second. Tammy, stay with us here for just 1 second. Good morning, everybody. We got breaking news to get to you. If you've been following this on our ABC 13 streaming app, we're now bringing this to you live on air. A police chase, a vehicle, a black SUV. Police started chasing this vehicle about 15 minutes ago or so. They are currently on the North Freeway headed northbound. This driver has gone into downtown at one point, managed to get back on the North Freeway, and is out headed northbound.
Yeah, speeds reaching 70 miles per hour, a very dangerous situation here. If you are in this area or you know someone headed in this area, make sure you stay away from this area this morning. We see police trying to get this driver to stop. We're continuing to follow this at abc13.com and anywhere you are streaming ABC 13.
Continuing our breaking news on our streaming apps, this police chase that has gone on now for at least, we're coming up on about 20 minutes or so. Just a moment ago, we were watching as this driver slowed down and weaved around a car, and one of the chasing officers had to kind of move over rather quickly to avoid an accident. It's one of the things that we tell people about these things all the time. One of the dangers of these police chases is what could happen, when somebody's trying to flee from authorities and you have 4 or 5 police officers following behind them very closely at very high speeds. Samika, you just mentioned at one point this guy was going 80 miles an hour, slowing down obviously with some traffic there on the North Freeway. But Tammy Rhodes and SkyEye doing a fantastic job of staying on top of this, Tammy.
Yeah, and with the winds, I tell you, it's a little bit hard keeping up with the driver. Again, we don't know if it's a male or female. The pursuit started on the 610 North Loop near 45, the North Freeway. We are on the North Freeway right now, heading outbound just past Airline. So if you're in the Greens Point area, coming up on Kingwood or any Conroe, just be aware of that this driver right now is headed out that way, just past Airline. And the speeds have been in excess of 80 miles per hour, so very fast. And we just had the second police helicopter get up airborne with us. So we have HPD as well as DPS up here trying to bring this driver to a stop and in custody, hopefully with no accident.
And you just saw an officer on the emergency lane trying to get as far ahead of this person as possible, potentially to deploy spike strips. And typically they do that sort of thing. But we just saw that officer and probably, going very fast.
Yeah, and probably to alert other drivers that something's going on. Because, I mean, think about it. You are headed to wherever you're going, and thank you, Tammy, for giving us those locations, because sometimes it's hard to know exactly where you are. Greens Point, you're headed to the Woodlands, wherever you're headed. You have no idea what's behind you. So I can only imagine that these officers are trying to alert those ahead of them that there's an issue, maybe pull over, and you can see some of the traffic slowing here. So we're watching this one very closely on how they will handle this. This driver, we don't know if it's a male or a female. We don't know why this chase started. It started around just a little after 7 o'clock. At least that's when we picked it up. 610, the North Loop at the North Freeway. And we are now almost 30 minutes into this police chase. Again, with very little information on the suspect and why this suspect is doing this. But we have had a lot of near misses.
We certainly have.
We are watching this very closely. And Tammy's saying speeds of up to 80 miles per hour. That is a dangerous situation.
Right, especially during rush hour when you have to be on the brakes and you have to go slow. And here's this person going very, very fast. Right, that red vehicle.
I'm not sure. We watched this red car on the feeder road, too, going quite fast.
It looks like he's trying to stop stop the guy.
Yes, it does.
Right?
That red car was actually
trying to bring this to a
Yes.
close. And you maybe see the officer with the spike strips potentially. There go the strips.
Oh,
Couldn't get it because
oh.
of the red car. But the driver managed to get onto the feeder road very
makes you wonder
quickly.
if the red car is a part of the
Could
police
be.
or
Could be.
maybe a
undercover officer.
undercover-
Not really sure.
I saw the red car on the feeder just speeding away, and I wondered what in the world. But you've got to wonder if maybe, as you mentioned, Jeff, maybe if that's an undercover officer.
Right.
There we go again.
No, this is just before the Beltway, and so it looks like the red car's trying to box him in. Now he's going into the parking lot there where that Mambo Seafood is, if you're familiar with that area in Greens Point. It's a very large parking lot, and people in and out all the time at this hour. And you can see he's going to try to make it to that side, the south exit there, and try to get back on either to the feeder road or, yeah, he's going to take, now he's going heading back inbound, eastbound on surface streets away from 45 and away from the Beltway. As soon as we can get that picture reestablished, we'll try to continue to follow this chase for you. But now, again, we're in that situation where we're on surface streets.
Yeah.
He's quite a ways away from, from the interstate. And thank goodness it is spring break, because normally there's a school right there.
Yeah.
There's a school building right there, you know.
Side streets, Jeff, means pedestrians.
That's right.
People taking public transportation.
Kids on bikes.
Kids on bikes. And, I mean, those who have absolutely no idea what's going on. So we are just, and as a news person watching this, and as so many other people watching, you just hold your breath.
That's right.
Thankfully, this person here just got out of the way of that vehicle. Right. It's an SUV, too.
Yeah, and one of the problems that we encounter in the morning is we see people running red lights, right? And so if you're in this area and you've got a green light and you're going to go through, you just don't know what's coming the other way. If you know anybody that's on the road or getting on the road soon, just tell them to be very, very careful at traffic lights, because especially if you're on the northeast side of town with this thing going on right now, and you just don't know how this is going to end or how long it's going to go.
Tammy, did you have something?
He is heading right now northbound on a side street near Airline and Dinah, coming up on an intersection right now. This is just east of the 45 North Freeway, and looks like he's heading back to the freeway. We'll see if he's going to get on or stay on the feeder.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's going to turn on the feeder road heading northbound along the North Freeway, just past the Belt near Airline Drive. And again, we do have 2 police helicopters up here with us, and we just checked our fuel situation. We've got about 15 minutes left of fuel. Hopefully this will come to an end soon. Right now we haven't spotted, or we didn't see him hit anybody or anything like that. No accidents, thank goodness so far, but along the feeder road heading northbound, and his speeds, we have tracked him as high as about 82 miles per hour.
Right, and continuing north, that's the intersection where he could have gotten the feeder road of the Beltway, but did not. Now traffic is at a standstill here because of a traffic light, but again, finding a way to get around those parked cars, those stopped cars, and continuing along the feeder road 45. You go underneath these decks like this, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going to happen, but he comes out the other side there, right there.
Yeah, we can only pray that this will end peacefully. As you know, just being a viewer and also being a journalist, we've seen these go both ways, and we can only pray that this one will end peacefully with no one being injured.
Looked like he entered the ramp now to get back on 45 northbound. And again, this is over by the Greens Point area, the intersection of 45 and the Beltway in North San Luis Obispo. Yeah, that's an officer that's on the feeder road, but there's an exit ramp right there that looks like he may have gotten onto the freeway. Yeah, you can see the other officers on the freeway. Yeah. Again, headed northbound now towards the Woodlands and past the airport.
Yeah, already on the freeway there. Again, we are working very closely with our news desk to try and see how this started. It started just after 7. In fact, around 610, the North Loop at the North Freeway, and has continued. We've seen this particular vehicle on the freeway. We've seen them travel through downtown, in fact, going right in front of City Hall at one point.
And tried to deploy the stop strips here about 5 minutes ago when he got off the freeway, but there was a red car that was in front, and it looked like that red car may have been trying to assist officers by forcing this guy to slow down, but in that particular case, I think the spike strips were not able to be deployed successfully because of the presence of that red vehicle.
Right.
And we don't know if that person's in law enforcement or why that person was there, but if you are not in law enforcement, it's a good idea to just get off the road, pull over, let police officers take care of this. obviously slowing down right now. I'm not sure why. Is there anything ahead of this, Tammy, that's causing this person to slow down a bit? Yeah, it's traffic building up a little bit.
I'll zoom out for you. No, actually, traffic's, well, actually, he's coming up on some traffic. Again, this is outbound on the North Freeway, coming up on Rankin.
And police still right behind him. Now does he have his hazard lights on?
Where?
He does. Yeah, he's got his hazard lights on now.
It does look like he's got the hazard lights on, which is a little bit bizarre. I didn't see that earlier.
I was honestly hoping that was an indication to police that he was going to pull over, to be honest, but we see that that is not what's happening. Are the hazard lights off now, it seems?
No, it looks like they're still on, passing the Ritchie Road exit coming up here in just a second. Still headed northbound on 45. There are at least a half a dozen officers on the main lanes of 45 behind this guy, and then we saw officers also going along the feeder road, potentially to try to get ahead of this guy on the feeder road. Maybe if he takes an exit, they can get there with the spike strips. We'll see. He's going to. This is the exit, I think, to Ritchie. I think that was the last one. He is slowing down. Yeah, this is the driver is slowing down. Yeah.
Hazards on, hopefully to indicate that this is coming to an end here.
It's going almost as slow as we've seen him
You've
throughout
got
the
to
entire
wonder
chase.
if the spike strips did something potentially, maybe?
Maybe, but it just looked like that officer just didn't get a good chance to. The gap between that vehicle and the red vehicle that was in front of him was just so small, and I don't know that he was able to deploy them
Slowing
adequately.
significantly, though, here. We're just waiting to see how this is going to...
One more time, desk.
They almost have him boxed in at this point. We don't know if there's an officer in front of him that might be able to
Okay, yeah, so
slow him
OnStar,
down.
we're getting information from our desk that OnStar is getting ready to stop the vehicle.
Got it.
So
I
our
see.
desk doing a fabulous job this morning on getting information for us. They're getting ready to stop that vehicle again with OnStar and just got off on the feeder road at Ritchie, so that is why the vehicle is slowing down.
And that officer there trying to get ahead of him, possibly to either deploy spike strips or to stop other traffic. But if OnStar is going to be deployed, that potentially tells us that the vehicle may be stolen. Might not be, but when
And you
vehicles
see
are stolen
it's
and they have the
amazing with the
OnStar.
technology what they can do, so that's why it's coming at a stop. So
stopping
it's
now.
still a
Complete
dangerous
stop.
situation because they're not stopping on their own. Now police are going to be getting out here, probably guns drawn.
Of course.
Hopefully this will end peacefully, but you just never know.
The person has not opened their door, and police obviously are out of their vehicle at this point. Again, this is just north of Ritchie Road near Rankin, northbound feeder road, I-45. This is a chase that started about 30 minutes ago, has finally come to a stop. And just hopefully this person will surrender and go peacefully.
And of course, we're keeping a close eye on it,
Sam,
but
what did
at
you
a
say?
distance, because we just
there
don't,
an
we never know
airport
how
note?
these turn out. So we see
That's
all
right.
all of the police out of their vehicles and sort of approaching the front.
There we see the
first
door,
three
looks like it's open. The
vehicles
person
there.
may be out. I don't know if Tammy can zoom in. We
North Park
we
Central.
hesitate to zoom in a little bit just because, you know, sometimes things can get out of control very quickly
Looks
at
like
the end of
they-
these chases. But this person's hands are up, backing up, following the officer's commands. They'll probably tell him to get on the ground here very soon, as soon as he clears the back of that car. Clearly following officer's commands. So that kind of puts things at ease a little bit, continuing to back up closer and closer to the officers, on his knees now. They'll probably tell him to lay face down. Oh, they grabbed me by his hands. Okay, this is over now.
Yeah. Well, of course, the next step is they want to make sure no one else is in
Right,
the vehicle.
right, that's true too.
So you see that
the
they're
officer,
still...
yeah, still has his attention on the vehicle, as do the other officers.
Right.
Clearly, there may, in fact, be somebody else in
Copy,
there.
thank you.
We know that this chase started. Yeah, there we go. The
There's
passenger
someone
now
else.
coming
Okay, so
out.
there's a
Second
passenger in the
person
vehicle.
inside the vehicle.
Hopefully, they too will just continue to follow officers'
Hands up.
instructions, and this will end peacefully. And clearly following what officers are telling them to do. Again, this chase started shortly after 7 o'clock this morning and really went all through downtown. Down 45, around I-10, back up 45, and now here we are near Rankin Road, and the second suspect now in custody. Officers still paying attention to the vehicle. Possibly more
third.
suspects in there. We
Looks
don't
like-
know. but they're going to check it out. They're opening this door there.
Searching the vehicle. And for their own safety, still guns drawn, checking the entire
back
vehicle.
of the car as well, yeah.
But they have now 2 people in custody as they are still searching that vehicle. We see that some of the officers are putting their guns away, so we can only imagine that there are only 2 suspects. Those suspects now in custody. This police chase that started just a little after 7 o'clock this morning at the 610 North Loop near the North Freeway, now ending near Rankin Road here northbound on the North Freeway. We are so happy that this ended peacefully.
Yes. And without any accidents and anybody getting hurt.
A lot of near misses.
Yeah.
Tammy Rose saying that this suspect reached speeds of 82 miles per hour.
Right. Well, you could see him early on in the chase when he decided to take off. You could just see how fast his vehicle was going in just a short period of time. So we did see some near misses, but fortunately everything is fine. And we know that, Tammy, you only have a few minutes of fuel left, but we do appreciate you being able to keep this chase. In your camera view, it's very hard to do. You're battling gusts of wind at 30 miles an hour up there.
Yeah, you know, it's a difficult thing, and I'll tell you, Pilot Samantha Fisher doing a fabulous job this morning because we have 2 other helicopters up here with us as well. So we've got that traffic. I have to maintain the camera as well as keep a visual on him and talk to the desk and everybody else. So crazy situation up here, but thankfully it ended peacefully.
All right, and as Tammy mentioned, her desk was telling her that OnStar was going to bring the vehicle to a stop, and we're pretty sure that's what happened. Not 100% sure, but shortly after they said that was going to happen, it did.
It actually did happen. It's just incredible, as Tammy mentioned there. And
technology
Tammy, you let us know if you have to leave because of fuel. We understand that you guys have done a great job. Thank you, Tammy, and thank you to Samantha, your pilot, as well. But, I mean, as Tammy mentioned, the technology involved with it.
Okay.
OnStar being able to actually stop the vehicle. During this police chase. And Tammy, by the way, is
talking to her, Samantha, and speaking to Samantha, the helicopter pilot, saying, leave when you have to leave. Right.
So now this vehicle being towed away.
All right, we want to take you back to the beginning of this chase when we started picking it up. This was about 7:15 or so this morning. This was when the suspect was headed southbound on 45 and then exited into downtown. If you're familiar with this area, that's the City Hall Annex that's over there off to the left of the vehicle. And you know, we were worried about this vehicle being in the downtown area because, again, you see the traffic there and people walking to work and that sort of thing. But what ended up happening was the person just sort of made a U-haul around the City Hall, a U-turn around the City Hall Annex, and they got right back on 45 northbound, basically going back the way that he came. This chase started around 610, the North Loop near the 45 North Freeway, and that is where this suspect then went back to, that very area. And this is one of the, early on we thought this was going to be a problem. The guy, he goes left and then makes that extreme exit to the right to head to Interstate 10 eastbound, and then eventually back into some surface streets there on the east side.
Right. There were quite a few elements to this chase here. I mean, you had obviously the chase in general and then the near misses, the speed, but also the red car.
Yeah, and the red car sort of disappeared after the potentially deploying of the spike strips. But throughout the chase, there was a vehicle, you'll probably see it here on video in just a second, that seemed to be trying to slow the person down.
Absolutely.
And tried to stop them. I thought that the 18-wheeler driver, actually a camper driver there, was trying to box the guy in at this point, but that was unsuccessful. And he kept going for another 15 minutes at that point.
Yeah, they may not have known what was going on. I have to be honest, I thought when I saw the red car on the feeder speeding so fastly, I wondered to myself, is that an off-duty officer or is that someone listening in right now who is just trying to help? We've seen a lot of Good Samaritans or so. You know, obviously police tell you not to ever get involved with something like this. It's very dangerous. But we've seen situations where people have tried to box in a chase suspect. And
it goes wrong.
It could go
very wrong.
Yeah, it could go wrong.
This was video. That was about halfway into this police chase. That video did not show the red car or the attempt to spike strip the guy, but that did happen right around the Greens Point area. Then we saw him go through a parking lot and then around a school. And so this is a live picture now. The area is cleared from the feeder road. The investigation now off to the side to let people get through the area over off of Rankin Road. But at one point, they did try the spike strips, and because of the other vehicle that was in front of, you know, the guy being chased or the vehicle being chased, it was an unsuccessful deployment, it looked to us, of the spike strips, and then the chase then went through a neighborhood on the east side and around a school. Right, there's a school right there, and we were just remarking at the time that, you know, it's spring break, so the streets are fairly clear around schools. But boy, you know, a week later, or you know, a couple days later, and there would be kids all over the place, you know, and parents and teachers, and you know, you don't want to get that, you don't want that problem to happen. So, at the very least, we know that this chase started about 35 minutes ago, has come to a successful conclusion. At the very end, if you're just joining us, at the very end, the two suspects in the vehicle got out after the vehicle was stopped and followed police orders. They put them in handcuffs, and you know, now we're